Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Eagles Latest on Fan Arch. I am your host, Blake McQueary. And, one second. Shift my light a little bit so y'all can see me a little better because I got a fresh cut. You dig? You dig? I'm feeling like, I'm feeling like Jalen Hurts after Bama. Fresh cut. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, let's get into it. It's time for the Rams. It is time for the Los Angeles Rams. Um, I'm just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about first the most fascinating thing that I find about this matchup, besides the fact that it's the rematch of the divisional round last year, the Rams taking the Eagles kind of down to the wire there, mounting a comeback, almost kind of beating them. Had some people biting their fingernails. Um, but just the fascination of this Eagles defense and how young it is versus this Rams offense and how old and experienced they are. Now, the shift for the Eagles team that made the Super Bowl just 2 seasons ago to now is going from old to young, most notably, obviously, on the defensive side of the ball. Why is this fascinating? Heading into the matchup against the Rams. The NFL's fourth oldest snap weighted defense 2 seasons ago now brings the league's youngest into week three. That is the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, they are led by one of the oldest and most experienced coordinators in the game, Vic Fangio. He has had a lot of experience in a lot of different stops, the Colts, the Patriots, the Dolphins, you name it. Fangio has been to a lot of different places, has coached a lot of people, a lot of talent, and has that experience to be one of the most experienced, or to be one of the most um, seasoned, coordinators we've seen that we have in the league right now. On the other side of things, the Rams, they are led by the NFL's fourth youngest head coach, Sean McVay, who has the oldest snap weighted offense, headlined by Stafford and new receiver Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford, of course. The Eagles' starters through week two averaged just under 25 years old, a full year younger than the week 1-2 starters averaged for any of the 20 defenses Fangio has coordinated since 2000. That is per True Media. The average age of Philadelphia's defensive starters is 24.88, and that is the fourth lowest through 2 weeks among 830 teams since 2000, per The Athletic. Now, it's been an excellent, very good mix so far, with Philadelphia ranking first in defensive EPA per play, counting the playoffs, since hiring Fangio before last season. Fangio obviously has been a mastermind for this defense. The credit that this defense finds, most of it goes to Vic Fangio. Not even the schemes, his IQ, his smartness for the defensive side of the ball, but also his eye for talent and who he is able to scout and see potential in, and just see skill. That is a great trait that Vic Fangio carries, and that has been very vital to the success of Philadelphia and their defense. Now, this season, just through 2 games, though, they sit at 15th in defensive EPA per play. So they were first counting the playoffs since hiring Fangio before last season. In 2 games this year, they're 15th. Obviously, kind of a drop there, you can see, but you focus on the young guys who have made huge impacts and have been stars that headline this defense. Jahad Campbell, a rookie out of Alabama. His zone and man coverage has been stellar, absolutely stellar. There was a play, the play that they tried Jahad Campbell down the middle against Dallas. I thought that was a safety running with that. I think it was a tight end. I believe it might have been Ferguson running that route. I thought it was a safety running with Ferguson. I really did. I really did. His coverage is amazing. His ability to rush the quarterback, though, also and create pressures that is a nasty combo. To be able to have very good coverage as a linebacker, but also know that you have that skill to line up as an edge, um, and create pressures, and your ability to rush the quarterback, even if you're not lined up on the edge, even if you're blitzing from your linebacker position. That is such a good combo to have. Such a combo. Because then you can line up on the edge and you can be a decoy and drop back into coverage. And I think we're going to see a lot of that from Jahad Campbell once Nakobe Dean comes back week 5, which is going to be even nastier for this defense. Andrew Makuba, another rookie out of Texas, the safety. Physicality has stood out. I remember there were questions coming into this season, just with his size, how physical he could be in coverage against tight ends, and I think he's proved it. Through 2 games so far, through his preseason, I think he has proved it. That physicality shouldn't be, a question. His downhill tackling, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I remember kind of mentioning a little bit. There were a few tackles, he kind of missed against Kansas City, but other than that, his downhill tackling, I mean, he hits hard. He hits hard. When you're able to come downfield like that and you can hit hard, it's dangerous. It's dangerous for opponents. He's also shown his ability to, be able to blitz. He got that, half a sack last week on Mahomes, shot through the gap. They didn't even touch Makuba when he came through that gap. So, his ability to blitz and create pressures and get to the quarterback. Also, his IQ. His IQ has allowed him to be in the right place at the right time, especially, and you've seen that single-handedly with the interception that Travis Kelce drops. His IQ is amazing for a rookie, just through 2 games so far, too. Obviously, Cooper DeJean, another young guy, going into his second year. I mean, Coop is Coop. You don't have to even explain. Coop is Coop. Coop is Coop. You got Quinyon Mitchell, shut down, absolutely shut down cornerback. With a Quintanamo Bay is what they call him. He has been absolutely amazing for this defense. And then you look at the defensive front, who I talked about a few episodes ago. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Moro Ojomo, all very young guys who have impacted the game in both games they've played. Obviously, Jalen Carter sitting out that first game wasn't a huge impact. I mean, he was a negative impact, but all 3 of those guys are absolutely amazing for the defensive front. Jordan Davis, too. I talked about him when I talked about the defensive front. Leads all NFL defensive linemen in total tackles right now. He's been amazing. The growth he's shown. So that's the most fascinating thing to me heading into this matchup. It's something I want people to kind of look out for as well. When you're taking it into account, an Eagles young defense versus the Rams offense, who prevails, who holds up, and who puts on the better performance. Now we're going to move on to the offense, the Eagles offense, and what impact they will have in this Rams game. I think a lot of people are very curious. They should be curious to what they're going to see from this Eagles offense on Sunday versus the Rams. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't know why I'm saying this fully. I got my ideologies as always. As always, I don't come in here empty-handed, but for some reason, there's a feeling in me. The passing game, it's gonna be improved this week against the Rams. It's gonna be improved. I think it's going to be in effect. I'm not gonna go and say it's gonna be in full effect. I think that is a little too much, but it's gonna be in effect. One thing that I talked about last episode that kind of stands out to me why I think it's going to be improved is Jalen Hurts' accountability on Wednesday. Taking accountability for the performance by the offense so far through 2 games, taking accountability for the struggles, mentioning that there's a template. That template is the expectations that are created around this offense that they understand, that doesn't include the standards that they hold to themselves as a team and as an offense who just came off winning a Super Bowl. I think that was super important to hear Jalen Hurts talk about that. I think that is kind of going to be something that creates that shift in this offense. Obviously, there are a lot of fingers being pointed in a lot of different places for why this offense is not working, moving how it should be. People can have their beliefs. At the end of the day, it just needs to get better. It does. No matter whose fault it is, it needs to get better. And I think it will this Sunday. I think you're going to see a leap as far as this offense goes on Sunday against the Rams. The expectations and the frustrations surrounding the game plan, I think that's going to be a wake-up call for the Eagles and Patullo and Sirianni to be very aggressive. Because I talked about it a few episodes ago. Patullo's comments on having a game plan and planning to do one thing, and then you get in the game and you realize, okay, this is a game that we cannot turn the ball over, and we cannot be as aggressive as we want to be. I don't think that's going to be the case against the Rams. I think they are going to be very aggressive. Also, in terms of the Rams, it's going to be very important to see if the Rams are running more man or zone. That is going to be a huge factor. A.J. Brown, he is that guy in man coverage. We've been talking about him for the past 2 weeks since the season started, since the Cowboys game. Get the ball in A.J. Brown's hands. It's important. The problem is the Eagles have barely seen man coverage this year, something A.J. Brown thrives in. The Eagles have faced man-to-man coverage on 10% of dropbacks this season. That's down from 27% from last season. Brown, he has run 8 routes versus man coverage this year. He's been targeted on 4 of those. He's run 47 routes versus zone coverage. He's been targeted on just 5 of those. Now, I talked about the Rams' defense and what they typically like to do against Philadelphia the past 2 games that we've seen them play last year. They love to stack the box heavily. Heavily, they have stacked the box in the last 2 matchups. I talked about it, like I said, last episode. Go and check that out. And Saquon has killed them for it. Saquon basically commenting on, the Rams stacking the box. That can create an advantage, especially for an elusive speedster back like Saquon is. Being able to just be patient, be smart when, those gaps close, and bouncing it and taking it to the house with the speed that he has. That is why we've seen Saquon go crazy against the Rams the last 2 games. 205 yards one game, like 247 the other. 2 touchdowns. He's had, I think, 5 total in those games, or 4. I mean, Saquon, like I talked about, has been their kryptonite. And if they decide that they want to stack the box again, I mean, go right ahead. Saquon is going to make you pay for it. They have seen that. I don't think they're going to stack the box, though. What does a stacked box mean? Usually, obviously, 7+ defenders. Sometimes it's 8. If that is the case where it is a full 8, then usually you see man on the backside of things in coverage. That's usually what you see when the box is stacked like that. So, yeah, I think the pass game is going to be there, though. I don't see the Rams stacking the box like they have against the Eagles, simply because Saquon has absolutely shredded them. And I think that's going to be something that they obviously are taking into account heading into this game against the Eagles. Now, transitioning over, we're going to analyze the Rams' strengths and weaknesses really quickly. I'm just going to go right into it. One strength is the passing game for the Rams. Obviously, they have Matthew Stafford. He is a guy I have high praise for. Being a kid growing up in Michigan. Obviously, Stafford being a Lion, getting drafted to the Lions. I mean, he hasn't slowed down at all. At all. Like, you want to talk about longevity, durability, it's Matthew Stafford. I mean, it's crazy to think about in like 4 years, he'd be playing his 20th season in the NFL. That is insane to think about. So, but with Matthew, and his abilities, I mean, his ball placement is insane. Absolutely insane. There was a route they ran last week, Devontae Adams. I don't know if it was a dig or a drag route. I think it was a dig. Um, and Stafford just placed that ball so perfectly. So perfectly. Like his sidearm passes. Everyone wants to talk about Patrick Mahomes and the sidearm. Stafford started that. Stafford started that. Also, his ability to look off defenders. His no-look passes are just nasty. Elite. Absolutely elite. Within that passing game also is Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Through 2 games have proved they are one of the top wide receiver duos in this league. Devontae Adams proving he is not Unk status. He is. Don't be calling him Unk walking around the locker room. Um, that you got to point out their passing game when you look at the Rams and their offense. Obviously, their biggest strength on offense is that passing game, the weapons they have as well. Another strength, defensive rush and the weapons they have. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Byron Young. They have a defensive front and guys who are able to get to the quarterback and create pressures. They have a good group. They have a really good group to do that. Obviously, it hasn't been effective. Like I just talked about Saquon's dominance against the Rams in the past 2 games. But, I mean, you look at it. Verse and Fisk are older guys. Byron Young, obviously. Not older. Let me rephrase that. Not veteran guys, okay? They were young guys last season that made huge impacts, and now, obviously, they're older, more experienced, things like that. That's what I mean. Another strength, obviously, Sean McVay, their head coach. He is a hell of a football coach. Outsmarts his opponents on every level. Even if Sean, this is one of the, like, Sean McVay kind of reminds me of Mike Tomlin a little bit. Even if he has mid teams, which this one is not, absolutely not. He finds ways to win. He does. He just finds ways to win. And he's done that with this Rams franchise. Absolutely. A weakness that I point out is their offensive line, just really quick. I mean, Stafford has looked pressured in the past 2 games. The protection for the Rams hasn't been the best. And I think that is something, obviously, that the Eagles can take advantage of with the guys that they have on their defensive line, the edge rushers that they have. You guys know, the linebackers that they have in Bond and Campbell, their ability to blitz. They can take advantage of that 100%. And I think that is going to be one of the biggest differences in this game. Another one, cornerbacks. That's my last one. And I simply point out Emmanuel Forbes Jr. because A.J. Brown absolutely killed him in their regular season matchup. I believe it was that matchup, but absolutely killed him. Like 140 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, something like that. I mean, if Emmanuel Forbes is running man on A.J. Brown is going to have a game. Like, he's going to be caught up in stats type of game. Absolutely. I'm going to transition over to betting lines now. Our last topic we are going to talk about today. Let's look at some betting lines. Let's give you guys some, parlays to cook up, I guess. Why not? I didn't do a good job of it in Dallas. I promise I'm going to be better with this Rams game. I hope. Not even sure if I should be the guy giving betting advice for real, but, we're going to do it. Everything is according to FanDuel. Here, the Eagles open up as 3.5-point favorites. The money line is favoring the Eagles with a minus 190 odds. I think that is something that you should invest in. Obviously, on the other side of things, the Rams, I think they're at plus 190, I believe. Now, the over-under is 44.5. Take the over. Take the over. Like I said, I think this offense is going to be better than what it has been the past 2 weeks. I think we're going to see a leap in the passing game this week against the Rams. And you're also playing the Rams. The Rams love to score points. They love to get in shootouts sometimes, high-scoring games, things like that. I think that saying both teams are going to score 22.5, 23 points is, I think that's low. I think that is very low. I would take the over. Jalen Hurts, 175 plus alt passing yards at a minus 186 odds. I think that is a hitter for sure. Like I said, the accountability has stood out by Hurts, what he said about the offense, being accountable for those things. I think 175 is very reasonable. I don't think it's a stretch. 200, I think that is a very huge stretch. I would not go 200 plus. I think 175 is perfect with the odds at minus 186. Saquon Barkley, over 89.5 rushing yards. I'm just going to say it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The numbers speak for themselves. He kills the Rams defense. Is it going to be another 200-yard game? I don't think so. But I think he is going to be in the ballpark of 100 rushing yards for sure. So I think 89.5 rushing yards is perfect for Saquon in this game, especially with how the offense has been playing. But and if they want to open the passing game this week, if they do open the passing game this week, I think 89.5 is perfect for Saquon. I also think Saquon Barkley, anytime touchdown scorer, is a hit. Obviously, has scored in the past 2 games. I mean, like I said, shreds the Rams. He does. That's just what he does. That is what he does. That is what Saquon does. Is he sees a Ram coming and he rams him over. That's what he does. So I'm going to go Saquon Barkley, anytime touchdown scorer. Jalen Hurts, also anytime touchdown scorer. The tush push is going to be ran, okay? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Sirianni's running the tush push. Now, seeing a fake tush push, like I said last episode, would be very good. I think that is something that we could see happen. But tush push is going to be ran. Absolutely. I think you're out of your mind if you think you are not going to see a tush push happen. A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown scorer. Hear me out. Hear me out. I talked about Emmanuel Forbes. I talked about what A.J. Brown does to Emmanuel Forbes. I talked about the passing game being better this week. A.J. Brown's getting in that end zone. A.J. Brown's getting in that end zone. Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind he's going to get in that end zone. A.J. Brown, 5+ receptions at minus 138. I'm taking it. I would take it. Absolutely take it. Yeah. Not going to say it's going to be a 200+ yard game for A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown's going to get his against the Rams. Best believe. Best believe. And if you want my prediction, I'll give it to you. The Eagles cover. Eagles 31. Rams 27. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it is going to be one that goes down to the wire once again. I think this Rams team is very good. They are a huge threat to the Eagles. Not the biggest in the NFC, but a huge threat to the Eagles. This is going to be a test for the Philadelphia Eagles, seeing how they fare out in NFC play and looking at how things could fare out in the playoffs. So that's my prediction. That is all we have for this episode. As always, continue to stay up to date with Eagles latest on FanArch. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.